on, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Kevin Jackwitz. This is the Kaged Review, and this is the final review for The Walking Dead Season 10, at least until they release the actual finale. This is not the finale. This is Episode 15, The Tower. And so, apparently they weren't quite finished with the finale when all of this craziness started in the world. And so they had to finish that up, and it looks like it's going to be postponed for a little bit. So for The Tower, episode 15, you have Eugene, Ezekiel, and Yumiko. They're on their march to meet Stephanie and supposedly this other civilization that she's with. And they come into Pittsburgh, where I think it's supposed to be, and they meet Juanita Sanchez, aka Princess. Princess is kind of a minor character in the Walking Dead comics. She's supposed to be this like comic relief character, I think. She's really quirky personality, very vibrant colors, purple hair, pink coat. But they really don't know what to make of her when they first run into her. And she's trying to say that she can help them out and find some wheels. And so she's trying to convince them to let her go with them, or at least tag along for a little while. And they're very hesitant. She's like, look how helpful I can be. There's a bunch of walkers coming, and she just shoots them all. But as she shoots them, everybody else is screaming no, and then their horses run away because of the gunshots. So she apologizes and, clearly is very awkward around people. So then you have Aaron and, God, I cannot remember this dude's name, the young dude who was dating Enid for a while, and he's kind of taking care of the Whisperer baby. I can't remember his name, but him and Aaron, they kind of stumble onto a massive group of walkers, and they can see like Beta there on the balcony with the Whisperers and shit. And so they are trying to let everybody know what's going on. Judith and Lydia have a really cool moment after that where they're kind of talking about moms, and of course Lydia's mom, Alpha, being dead. She's having some issues dealing with the fact that she's very hateful to her mother in some ways, but it's still her mother, and now she's dead. And so you can see that there's an internal conflict arising there. After that, you find Judith in the woods. Daryl comes across her, and Judith says, she left a note for Gabriel, and, she wants to learn how to hunt. And so Daryl kind of concedes there. He's like, okay. Then you see Beta leads walkers and Whisperers. One of the Whisperers calls him Alpha again. And then you can see the reaction, and she instantly apologizes. He pulls out a knife. But then he just starts hearing voices in his head. And I don't know how I feel about this. Beta is just supposed to be this big brute badass, and now he's like just completely going crazy. Which may make for something good, who knows? But either way, he is hearing voices, and apparently he is listening to these voices. He's also got part of his mask now is part of Alpha's face. So that's kind of interesting. From there, you have Princess leading the group to these wheels that she says she has, and literally straight through a minefield. And they start talking to her as she's concentrating and counting, interrupts her train of thought, and then she lets them know that they're in a minefield. And they're like, when were you going to tell us this? And so she is really, really an odd character, obviously. And so they don't know what to make of her. They really are not happy with her at this point. And so she gets through the minefield without hurting anybody. Then you have Carol and the younger black girl that was Connie's friend. Can't remember her name either, sorry. They're talking about Connie and the possibilities of where she might be and what's going on, if she's alive or dead. Then you have Lydia avoiding Negan. She makes a comment, something about, maybe he should have died too. After that, Daryl starts teaching Judith how to be a hunter. You see him showing her, how to look for things that aren't not so obvious and things that a lot of people might miss. things that just aren't supposed to be natural in a forest environment. Um, After that, Princess and Yumiko have a face-off because Yumiko realizes that Princess has just kind of been leading them around, and then Princess admits that she just wanted to have somebody there, and it was cool to have people around, and she apologizes and says she doesn't do well around people, and Eugene steps up and says, you know what, I understand, I've lied before in the past, and I've tried to make things easier on myself. He says, I entirely get it. So, but then he says, there are wheels here, right? And so they kind of continue on now without Princess's BS. After that, you have Daryl shoots a Whisperer, and he kind of questions her. Well, Whisperer doesn't know anything. And so he just winds up shooting her and leaving her there. And Judith kind of questions that because she thought it was kind of brutal to just leave her there. And he's like, she was going to die anyway. I just wanted to make it quick. So from there, you get Beta still leading the Whisperers and the Walkers, and he is just still losing his shit, like hearing the voices and following whatever they say. So Aaron and the other guy, I can't think of his name. It might come to me, it might not, but Enid's old boyfriend, those two get caught. So Negan then confronts Lydia about everything that was going on, and this was actually a pretty good scene. I really liked it. Lydia just really upset and torn by the fact that now her mother's dead and how much she hated her, but she still kind of loved her because it was her mother. Now she's still very young without any parents, and Negan said, you've got to let this out or it's going to eat at you. And so Negan actually draws it out of her, and she has a little fit, at Negan, and then she's crying, and he pulls her in, they both hug, and he's like trying to console her. You can see Negan's upset too. So it was really good, man. Really, really good. Then Princess does come through for Eugene, Ezekiel, and Yumiko. Not exactly the way they thought, though. She had a lot of bicycles. But bikes are still a lot faster than walking, and so it still helped them out. And so Yumiko can sense that Princess wasn't lying. She is an oddball character, but she's not malicious. So Yumiko invites her to come along with the rest of the group, and of course Princess says yes. So yeah, that was kind of cool. Then Daryl and Lydia, they talk about leaving the Whisperer and how, you just left her dead there. And he's like, where is this coming from? And she just starts talking about how she's thinking about, like everybody that's left and whether they're dead or not. Now Michonne being one of them. And Daryl has a really good speech about how, you don't really know what's going on right now. I can't lie to you and say, I know that they're alive or dead. He's like, but you have a huge family here that care about you. And while nobody here is going to replace somebody you lost that you love, you have a lot of people here and you have a life that you can continue on with. And so it was actually another really good speech. I actually think the two best parts of this show were Negan and Lydia and Daryl and Judith. I really feel like those were the two highlights. Honestly, really good moments. And it ends with Beta and the herd walking up to the hospital. And that's where they close out. And then you have what is going to be the finale at some point. So we'll see what happens there. As far as this episode, there are some things that I really did like, especially the two mention scenes that I had with the kids. I thought that those were really well done, especially Judith. The girl that plays her, really good actor. So yeah, man, it was fine. It was really just a what you needed, I think, before the finale, because you've had a lot of things happen. You've had Gamma die, you've had Alpha die now. You've got Beta leading in this last resistance force. So very cool, man. I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. I really enjoyed it. Now, obviously, there is room for improvement there. I like the shock moments. I like the horror aspect, which you don't really get a lot of here. But it was definitely cool. If you like moments that pull on your heartstrings, they had a couple big ones here. So that's where I'm at. Let me know what you think in the comments below if you enjoyed this. Hit the like button, subscribe, and share. My name is Kevin Jackowitz. Kaged Nation out.